A black lightsaber is one of the rarest lightsaber blade colors in Star Wars canon. The Darksaber is the only known black-bladed lightsaber to exist, at least at the moment. You never know, they can always add new black-bladed things to Star Wars canon. Now, the mysterious Darksaber is an ancient black-bladed lightsaber with a flat, sword-shaped blade. So this is a Ruby's Darksaber. This is kind of a costume prop, toy-like thing, but you can get a bit of a sense of what this Darksaber looks like in terms of the blade and also in terms of the shape of the hilt. So it really has quite a bit of a different look to it than kind of your standard lightsabers. Now, that's what we've got in Star Wars canon. In Star Wars Legends, players of the video games Star Wars The Force Unleashed, Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2, and Star Wars The Old Republic, they could all wield black lightsabers, and I'll talk a bit more about that later in the video. So first of all, let's kind of swing back to Star Wars canon. So the black-bladed lightsaber entered Star Wars canon in 2010 in an episode of the animated series Star Wars The Clone Wars, and that episode was called The Mandalore Plot. So that's when we first saw the black-bladed lightsaber, not all that long ago. And what's a little bit about the history of the Darksaber? So it's an ancient weapon, and it was constructed by the very first Mandalorian Jedi. And so it has this kind of long and storied history. Lots of people have wielded the Darksaber over the years. It was created, in the Old Republic era. So really, it's probably one of the most historic lightsabers that's sort of still in existence in Star Wars canon. And still kind of out there. So that's pretty cool. Now, it emits kind of a short, flat blade, and this blade is much more similar in appearance to a sword. And it just, has a very different overall look to it than most of their lightsabers. And also just the fact that it's still a lightsaber, so it still illuminates. It kind of has a white edge to it and a black center. So it's sort of the reverse of other lightsabers, where typically the color, whatever it is on kind of the outside, and the core will be white. So yeah, the Darksaber kind of flips that. Now, okay, what about black lightsabers in Star Wars Legends? Let's return to that. So we do see some lightsabers in Star Wars Legends that have black blades, and we see them in video games. So in both The Force Unleashed and Force Unleashed 2, the player may find and use a black kyber crystal, and then after they do that, they can modify the Galen Merrick Starkiller lightsaber to emit a black blade. So this is kind of an optional thing that players can do. It's not required. It's just kind of like a little cheat in the game, a little mod. And similar to that, you have the Star Wars Old Republic video game, and players could elect to construct a lightsaber that uses a black core. And so it's not like these are black lightsabers outright, kind of like the Darksabers. So it's just, it'll have a certain color on the outside and a black core kind of on the inside. So the colors that they could construct, it's like red, orange, yellow, purple, blue, and 2 types of green. And all of those, it's like kind of like you see that color on the outside with the black core on the inside. So black and color theory, we always have to look at kind of the history of a color, the psychology of the color, and black has a lot of layers to it. So, we think of like mystery and death and power and certainly darkness. That should be probably near the beginning of that list. Absence, aggression, but on the positive end, it is a very elegant color too. So that's just a little bit about the color black. Finally, let's get to black lightsaber wielders. So in Star Wars canon, the black lightsaber wielders that we know about, they all wielded the Darksaber at some point, even briefly. So there's the original, a person that created the Darksaber the first time. His name's Tar Vizsla, or Tare. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, actually. You guys may know better. And then there's Pre Vizsla, there's Darth Maul, Kanan Jarrus, Sabine Wren, and Bo-Katan Kryze. All right. I probably butchered some of that pronunciation, but those are the wielders of the Darksaber. And in Star Wars Legends, we have Galen Marek, Starkiller, wielding a black-bladed lightsaber if the player in the video game elects that he wields one. And that's in the Force Unleashed video games, so Force Unleashed and Force Unleashed 2. And then in the Old Republic, you know, you kind of create your own character for that game. So your character can wield one of these lightsabers with a black core if that's your choice within the game. So those are kind of the canon and legends examples of black lightsabers. There are a few examples, although really the primary example, you guys, is the legendary Darksaber. And it would be really neat if we see that in the Mandalorian show at some point, I think, right? Or it would be neat to see it again in different Star Wars canon materials, because there's something about a black-bladed lightsaber that everybody loves, they think is really cool, and some of that may be related just to the different shape of the lightsaber as well. But what do you guys think about black lightsabers? What do you think about the Darksaber more specifically? Feel free to comment below.